Right, I'm Stephen Wells, and this is my magazine, Tomorrow Magazine, and here we go. And this is my front cover to start with, contents, and double page spread. I'll go into more detail after I've discussed the evaluation. My first thoughts when we got the project were that it would be easy. I was really cocky about it. I thought I'd have all the time in the world and there'd be no problems. But it wasn't like that at all. The preliminary tasks, they helped me a lot. By making the CD cover, I found loads of ways of changing all the images. My favourite parts of it were probably the brightness and contrast. It was the most simple and easiest effect that had such a big impact. Then there was the contents, no, not the contents, the college magazine. That just gave me a basic format that I could use for making a magazine, the use of left third and everything. I learned a lot from that. Yeah, so basically it helped me develop new skills in Photoshop, and then I became introduced to Blogger, SurveyMonkey and all of them forms of websites. Other factors that helped and influenced the making of my magazine were the reader profile. I think that the profile played a big role into the development of my magazine, and it made me look in particular at the target audience and the style that I should incorporate into my magazine. It made me come up with loads of ideas in relation to 75% of people go to festivals regularly. I wasn't aware of that, and that's such a big part of the youth culture. It had to be incorporated into my magazine. Next. What have you learned about technologies from the process of constructing your media project? I learned that there are two types of technologies, ones I do get and ones I don't get. I've used Photoshop in the past, so I get it, but the preliminary task, again, that helped me develop my skills in that. And the websites that I'd used, they were technologies that I didn't get. SlideShare, SurveyMonkey, and Issue, and Blogger, I'd never seen them, I'd never used them before, but with learning tuition I was able to combat them easy, and now I can use them comfortably. What kind of media institution might distribute your magazine? There are many different ways that this magazine could have been distributed. I used SurveyMonkey with the question, where do you think this magazine would be sold, to come up with different distribution methods. The main ones being high street stores, online, and at gigs or concerts. Now the gigs and concerts, I didn't really think about that first, but someone suggested it. And then it came out with a 30% result. That people think that my magazine would be sold at a gig. So if I was to sell and distribute my magazine properly, then that would definitely be some way I would look at selling it. Who would be the audience from the magazine? The audience from the magazine would be teenagers. I think that the magazine is too strong for the younger audience, and the more mature audience might not understand the way that it is written, like the humour. For example, what a teenager might find now and an adult could find offensive or just simply not funny. The magazine is modernised and suited to the everyday teenager. The results on SurveyMonkey show that 100% of the people who took my survey thought that it was suited to teenagers. How would you attract and address your audience? Following the feedback of my magazine, I can summarise that my magazine is more suited to teenagers. The best place to promote it is at a gig. The best place to sell it is in the newsagents, and it is similar to the style of NME magazine. Originally I didn't want it to be like NME magazine. I wanted it to be like Q magazine, more serious, but then I just learned that that did not suit that style. In what ways does your media project use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media projects? A media project uses a classic format. The picture is one single strong image taking up the majority of the page. And this lets the consumer know what the magazine is about, who it's about, and whether they would want to buy it or not based on the likeness on that feature artist. Magazines that tend to do this, which are looked at by Enemy and Q. The left third I thought was a big part of my front cover. The words which came straight up were win, king, exclusive and rock. They're all very strong words, and as you can see with this magazine, the people on the left third, you'll see them straight away, and that's a strong way of selling the magazine straight off the shelf, and I just done it through words rather than pictures. How does your media project represent particular social groups? Many different types of social groups are represented, but the main ones are the youth culture, and in this particular case, young people who like to make the music. Another social group that my magazine does represent is indie. This is because the magazine is based on rock, but it's not heavy metal rock, such as bands like Kiss, Guns N' Roses, and Bullet for My Valentine. Instead, it's for more similar artists like Franz Ferdinand, Kings Leon, and Vampire Weekend. A lot less heavy rock. So yeah, this is my front cover. My favourite bit about this is probably the use of left third. I think it comes across really strong, and that would be the best way to sell my magazine off the shelf. And my contents, the favourite bit about this is probably the image. I like the way that they managed to incorporate the writing to come round the artist, and so it's more integrated into the magazine. And then this is my double page spread. I think that links in well with my contents page. And I'm just really happy with how that turned out, to be honest. I think that's quite an individual style, and if you could see the background, that's like, I forgot what it's called.
Background being the brush?
Yeah, the brush. I used the brush to texturise the background, and although you can't see it there, it does look really effective when up close. And that's my magazine.
Okay, can I look at the front cover again? Just look. Do you have a slide with all three?
No, I don't.
It's okay. Just have a look at the front cover again. The question from me would be, in terms of attracting your audience, how throughout the project and looking at the front cover did you set about attracting your audience?
By using a strong main image, and then using the writing to sort of secondary that, if that makes sense.
Okay. And in terms of preliminary work, in terms of research with SurveyMonkey, your first SurveyMonkey, how do you think that you use that in terms of setting about to attract an audience? What questions did you ask?
I asked questions like where would you buy the magazine? And then I used sort of articles which may relate to them sort of places like the festivals, because a lot of people thought that this would be sold at a gig or a festival. So.
Okay. Your biggest learning curve, what's it been? All the technologies you've used in this year, what's been your biggest learning curve? What do you think?
Getting my head around Photoshop. It's just such a pain. That's just it. That's all you can say about it. I hate Photoshop, but no, I did learn how to use the layers, and that was very helpful. I mean, like top of his head there, I had to cut that off, put that on a separate layer, then put the Tomorrow behind it, whilst trying to put a shadow effect on the back of the Tomorrow, and it all got complicated. But I managed to get around it, so Photoshop would definitely be my biggest struggle.
Okay, so thank you very much.